Hey guys, welcome to WILDsides. Today we're going to be learning how to make a splint in the wild. So let's get right to it. So first we're going to need something to splint. That sounded like a fracture. So in this scenario, we have a friend, Jack, who has fallen and broken his forearm, so his radius or his ulna, and what we want to do now is make a splint to stabilize the injury and make him feel a little bit better. Can I help you?
Yes, you can.
Fantastic. You also want to make sure that the scene is safe for you, because the last thing you want is 2 injuries on your hands. So make sure you didn't trip over a pit of snakes or an alligator or something, so you can come in and help him without getting your leg chopped off. Also, make sure to assess him for other injuries. Like, all we know of at the moment is that he broke his arm. He may have also hit his head or something, maybe bleeding. So we've done our initial assessment of the patient and he seems fairly stable, and all we can find is the broken arm. So we're gonna go ahead and splint that up and he'll be good to go. So our main goal here is to stabilize the injury and prevent further injury. So we're gonna want to keep the bone from wiggling around and continue breaking. And we also want to provide comfort the patient so that we can evacuate him and get him proper care. So here we have 2 jackets, and I'm going to need to use at least one of them. This is the patient's jacket, this is my jacket. Now if I'm in a situation where I'm going to need to continue wearing my jacket, I'm not going to rip it off and put it on the patient and then have him airlift it out and then I'm left without a jacket. So we're going to go ahead and use the patient's in this situation to wrap up his arm and provide padding under the splint. Just wrap it around and ask the patient to hold it and be as delicate as possible, because keep in mind their radius is snapped in half. So just hold that right there. Then we're going to head over here to the Crazy Creek. So this is just one example of a splint. There are many different types of splints. There's SAM splints, there's natural splints like sticks or whatever, but these actually have structural support within them that can be used as a splint. So we'll go ahead and pop this guy out if I can get it. And there we go, we've got a perfect splint right here for the forearm. And we're gonna go ahead and shape it and make sure that it will properly go on. And it looks to be pretty good, so just ask them to hold that there. And then we will head over to the first aid kit where we will pull out our bandage. And the best bandage for this situation would be something like an ACE bandage, where you can wrap it up and it won't cut off circulation, and on top of that you can secure it pretty well. But if you've only got a cotton bandage like this, it should do. So we're just going to go ahead and unroll it a little bit. It's easier to work with when it is still semi-rolled. So starting from down here, we're just going to start going around, making sure that splint is on there nice and straight, providing structural support. And then what you can do afterwards to check that you are not cutting off circulation is something called a capillary refill. And that is just by squeezing their fingernail and then watching how long it takes to refill. It should refill within a second or 2 if there is proper circulation. If not, you might want to loosen this a little bit. Also, if the patient experiences numbness in their fingers or any of that stuff that you don't quite want. So I can go ahead and tuck that in. And if you've got more bandages, you can continue to wrap up, but this should do for a break in this region of the arm. Holding it tight, gonna check the capillary refill, looks good. And then next what we wanna do is provide a sling. So that can be done with a neckerchief, a blanket, a jacket, or whatever, but in this situation, we do have triangle bandages available. And as the name says, a triangle bandage tends to be a triangle. So we are going to go ahead and tie a simple overhand knot in one corner, and then we are going to put that knot facing upwards, put his elbow in that little crease by the knot, and then we are going to just go around the patient's body and secure his arm to his body. And then we are going to just go ahead and have it crossed, twist it once around, twist it twice around. This is a surgeon's knot. Then you're going to go ahead and just pop that in, tie that tight. Seems pretty good. And then onto the second triangle bandage. And then this time, instead of facing upwards, you are going to have the little knots face downwards. And then you're going to go over the shoulder, under that arm, and do that same surgeon knot once around, twice around. We have got that tied tight now, and the arm is secured to the patient's body, as you can see, and it's nicely padded. It may not look super pretty, but we're not shooting for pretty, we're shooting for comfortable and manageable and all that good stuff. So as the patient walks, it shouldn't bounce around too much because it is kind of secured. And then on top of that, you want to kind of keep the arm upwards, either level with or above the patient's heart, so that the blood doesn't gather in the area, because it's going to start swelling. It's a break. So you don't want it hanging down here. You're going to want it kind of up in this little area. And if you don't have triangle bandages with, there's another way that you can make a splint using, or not a splint, there's another way that you can make a sling using just a jacket. So let's say we don't have all these bandages. Just pop those off real quick. And then all we have to do from there is insert the patient's elbow into the little armhole. And that should just slide in nice and easy. And then from there, you can wrap one sleeve around, take the other sleeve from the patient's elbow, and do the same knot. And it should be secured fairly well. Just like that, and that'll do the job. And if you're in a cold weather situation where the patient needs the jacket, then all you're gonna do is have the patient slide their arm into the jacket, and as if you were putting it on, just don't put that last arm in, slide the elbow into that sleeve hole right there, so as you can see, his hand's right there. And then you can just go ahead and zip it up, and that will secure it to the body and hold it up. Not as well as a normal sling would, but it'll be better than nothing. So when you're in the backcountry, you kind of just want to be creative as possible. You might not have all the supplies that you need, so you're gonna have to use part of nature, whether that be a shoe or something that you've got with. You can use that as a splint or even a stick or whatever, and just stabilize the injury. Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed learning how to make a splint in the wild. My name's Alec, that was Jack. Stay wild, and we'll see you next time. But in this situation, it's pretty temperate temperatures, and I can go ahead, temperate temperatures. Oh, that was crunchy. Oh. And my groin. Ah.